Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
And we welcome you to the show. Great to have you with us. Let's tell you how bizarre the sports world is this morning. The Philadelphia Eagles are the number 5 seed in the NFC. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the number 6 seed in the AFC. Those two teams are not in the same league.
No, Eagles got some problems, but no, they're not.
They
Steelers.
aren't even close.
No, they're not.
Okay?
No,
the Steelers have no business being in the playoffs.
I agree.
Right? None. The Eagles have problems. There's no getting around it. The Eagles do have a problem.
Defensively especially.
But here's very quickly with the Eagles. This is what needs to happen for them. And it's going to sound so simple, but it is simple. Right? What you need, if you're an Eagles fan right now, is that you have to have your best players start playing like your best players again. You think about how they're playing right now. Fletcher Cox is playing really well. But Bradbury and Slay are not. Carter is not. Oh, he scored last night. Please, wake up. Watch the play. Okay? Cox makes the play. Carter is blocked out of the play and just happened the ball bounced into his hands. All right. He has been a non-factor now for a month. Jordan Davis, non-factor again. Okay? Non-factor. Name me a play he made in the game. None. And then offensively, Kelsey's struggling.
Yeah.
Lane Johnson, I thought, did pretty well.
Yeah.
But Kelsey's struggling. Jalen Hurts is struggling. Brown is struggling. Smith has been good, but is not enough to overcome the fact that other people are struggling. This is what I told. We were talking in my class. I was talking about voting for an all-conference team, and I said I will look at some stats. And I said, and the Big Ten, by the way, to its credit, does a great job of giving us advanced stats, metrics, things like that on players. I mean, they really do. It's an internal packet. We're not supposed to share it with anybody. That's fine. But it's really good. Really good. And I said, but there's the other part, too, is you have to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So let's give you I said, let me give you an example. I said, Bland has 5 interceptions for touchdowns. I said, which has never been done in the history of the NFL. I said, but I always ask the question, like when Diggs had 11 picks a couple years ago. I said, that's great for fantasy football.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but ask yourself, why does he have 11? And why does he have 5 runbacks for touchdowns? And Gilmore has no stats. Right. Why doesn't Gilmore have stats? Because Gilmore doesn't get thrown at a lot.
No.
And last night you saw why. Because Brown did 0 against him all night. And the Eagles, Seattle was smart. They attacked Bland repeatedly. Because to be honest with you, he is a good corner. He is not a great corner.
No, he's going to get a major payday, too.
Gilmore's a great corner.
Yeah, great tackler, too.
Right?
Great open field tackler.
I mean, you name it, he can. Yeah. He is good.
Yeah, he was a steal for that team. Absolutely. Sensational
veteran
player.
That knows how to play. He's Darrell Revis.
No doubt about it.
Right now, when, I mean, that's who he is.
Yeah, just an absolutely incredible player. And for the Eagles, I think, it sounds simple. When Hurts doesn't play well, they don't play well. That's I think really the biggest long and short of it with the Eagles. When Jalen Hurts is not completely on, that team's not completely on. That team is completely followed by him, and it's a ripple-down effect on both sides of the ball because the defense, obviously, they've got problems. Linebacker, they have some issues. I don't know if Shaq Leonard's going to fix any of those by the end of the year or not. Secondary obviously has issues.
I think he'll help out.
I think he'll help out a ton, too, especially if he can go back to his all-pro level. Absolutely.
But even if he's good, he'll help out because their linebacking's not that great.
No, they're not.
Elliott's still their best player.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. And secondary is struggling, but to me, it comes down to Hurts. I think when he does not play well, this team doesn't play well. And look, same could be said about a lot of quarterbacks. When they struggle, it's tough, no doubt. But this team just doesn't. It's not the same when Hurts doesn't play well.
But they're not. But their best players aren't playing well.
No,
across the board.
No, and it starts with, and the biggest thing it starts with is him. Your receivers are not playing well because Hurts is not playing well. Right. Your line is not blocking well because Hurts is holding on to the ball too long. I think there's so many things that tie to Jalen Hurts with this team, and that's. I'm not saying they're a one-man team. They are loaded. The best offensive line in football without question to me. I think you could argue the best receiving core when you count Goddard in there too at tight end.
Goddard, by the way, getting him back has been big.
It's huge.
Look, they'll roll down the stretch.
Yeah, I think so too.
Seattle will be a tough game. They'll sweep the Giants. And what's
Cardinals.
The other game? They got the Cardinals. I mean, and then there's the team in Pittsburgh.
They're not good.
They're the number 6 seed.
They very easily. You looked at their schedule 2 weeks prior and said this team could run the table. How you can't beat that Patriots team?
Or the Cardinals.
The Cardinals, too. The Cardinals blew them out. That's the worst part of it. The Cardinals blew them out. Are they better with Kyler Murray? Absolutely. Are they better with a healthy James Conner? Certainly. Yeah. But they're still a 2-win team going into that game.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and that's. But the Patriots just, they have no quarterback. Mac Jones has struggled dramatically. He gets benched for Bailey Zappi. Bailey Zappi's afraid to throw the ball down the field. And this team manhandles the Steelers. Obviously, that's final score doesn't tell the whole story in that game.
I just don't.
Yeah,
This is not. I don't know. This is. If you're the NFL right now, you're sitting there and saying, if that's my number 6 seed, I've got too many teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, I think if you're also the NFL now, you're also probably looking at, can we change how the playoff system works, too? Because we're going to have another team winning a division with likely a losing record, hosting a team that could very well go 14-3. I think that's a problem too. I think that's a big problem.
The Eagles are 14-3.
Well, if the Eagles go 14-3, Dallas goes 14-3, even 13-4, playing a team that is now 6-7 in first place, probably with a losing record, no matter who wins that division.
Yeah, well, last year Tampa Bay got in with Tom Brady at what? 8-9?
8-9, yeah. And then you do the same this year, whether it's Tampa Bay or the Falcons or the Saints.
Well, see, but here's the difference.
Not the Panthers, I'll tell you that.
Let me give you a difference. There is a big, big difference between the Steelers being the 6th seed in the AFC and the Green Bay Packers being the 7th seed in the NFC, because Green Bay is coming on.
Yeah.
And the Green Bay's
and they show signs.
Green Bay's going they're going to win tonight. They're going to beat the Giants tonight.
Should.
And they're going to be sitting there at 7-6, and they're playing good football down the stretch.
Yeah,
they look like a team you don't want to mess with.
Right.
In the opening round of the playoffs, the Steelers don't belong in the playoffs. Just don't.
No.
So.
No. Now, this is as wide, especially the AFC. It is as wide open as we've seen it in a few years. There's no question about it. The top tier teams that everybody picks to be there every year are in the playoffs, but they're not there by a lot. Obviously, the Chiefs are one game ahead right now of the Broncos, who are catching fire.
Right. The Broncos are playing great. Yeah. The Chiefs are not. Now,
no.
Can I get to the Tony play for a moment?
Yeah, absolutely.
When the Giants traded Tony, this all goes back to draft night. I'm sitting there on draft night, and I'm thinking the Giants are going to draft Devontae Smith.
Mm-hmm.
They're in a great spot. And the Cowboys are picking in front of them. And then the Eagles engineer that trade with Dallas. Brilliantly done.
Yeah, Howie's brilliant. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And they make the deal, so they pick Smith. Well, I'm sitting there going, great. Okay, fine. Didn't get Devontae Smith. All right, perfect. Take Micah Parsons. What does Gettleman do? He trades down and then picks Kadarius Toney. I'm sitting there like going, you've got to be kidding me.
No.
I said, this guy can't play in this league.
No.
I'm talking, when I mean he can't play in the league, he's not like...
He's not
he
top
and
tier.
Smith are not in the same category as a player.
No, he is a better special teamer than he is a wide receiver.
Even then.
Yeah. Oh, he has his moments. There's no doubt.
I mean, he returns punts, right? So does Duvernay.
Yeah.
I mean...
But that's the point. You don't take him in the first round to do that.
No. I care less if he returns punts. And they told him to Kansas City. I remember exactly what I told you. He said, what do you think? I said, good. Because he wasn't doing anything.
No.
Zero. Now he goes to Kansas City, to his credit, made a couple of catches, had a really good Super Bowl, the whole thing. Guess what? He's back to playing the same way he played with the Giants. Lots of drops. And guess what? What are you taught to do as a wide receiver? Question. That is a habit, a habit, a habit.
Absolutely.
Okay? It is reinforced you in practice every day. What is the habit you're supposed to have as a wide receiver? You look over at the official and, am I good?
Yeah. Or at worst, look at the center. Look where you are at the center.
No. But you look at the official.
Yeah.
Am I good?
Yeah.
In other words, first of all, am I covering up the tight end? Or did I line up offside?
Yeah.
Or am I too far off the ball?
Yep.
No, hey, you got to move up. Right? No, you got to move back. They'll tell you before the play. All you have to do is habitually look over and say, am I good?
Yeah.
And the official does not want to throw that flag. He is clearly offside. Patrick Mahomes can be as mad as he wants. Andy Reid can be as mad as he wants. But guess what? A player who makes a lot of mental mistakes made another gigantic mental mistake.
Yeah.
All right? And that's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Is he untalented? No, he's got talent. Right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't have concentration. He's not involved in the game. Has no feel for the game. All right? That's why he has so many drops. He's not concentrating. That's why he lined up offside. He doesn't concentrate.
No. I mean, there's 2 points to that one as well. Obviously, people talking about, the official took away what could have been a Hall of Fame play.
Not.
The official didn't take anything away. Kadarius Toney took it away, number one. Number two, that flag was thrown right away.
Yes.
The official didn't know what was going to happen on that play. And the other part, I think, to me, I'm reading Mahomes. Obviously, he's got to be better, and he's got to be better post-game. That was unacceptable. But I do think part of it is the officials, yes. I think the other part of it is he's tired of this. He's tired of not having wide receivers that are making these mistakes, that are making that kind of mistake, that are making a mistake like Valdez-Scanlon makes repeatedly.
Yep.
He's tired of doing as much as he's doing and losing games.
You're right.
I think that's a massive part of what his rant was yesterday. Does he have to be? But he certainly has to be better with shaking hands to Josh Allen there. There's no doubt there was frustration. So you have to excuse it a little bit. But he's got to be better there. But yeah, I absolutely think.
I think he's
part of it is
he's as mad at Tony as
that's exactly. He's tired of it.
He knows darn well when they see it.
Yeah.
Like, he is clearly beyond it. And as you mentioned, he can look at the ball.
Yeah.
Well, he was looking at the ball.
Look at the center.
He was looking
look
at
at the center.
Right?
Look at he's snapping the ball.
The fact is, he had to look back.
Yeah. Awful. Awful.
Shohei Ohtani, to his credit, walked in. He said, I want Jason Lord money, and the Dodgers gave it to him.
My goodness. I could not believe that. I had visions of him probably being the first guy gets over 500. I did not see him getting that much. I did not see him getting that kind of money. Obviously, even though, yes, he's the best player in baseball to me right now as I look at it, absolutely. But the other part of it is you're taking a risk. You're taking a risk, obviously, because you're paying that kind of money. You're taking a risk because he's coming off surgery. And whether you want to look at it that way or not, yeah, he's the best player in baseball. He had an unbelievable season. Still coming off of surgery. You never know. So when somebody comes off of surgery, what they're going to be like. That's the other part. Right. It's risky. Dodgers, I think, had to do it. I did not know they were going to pay that kind of money. It's unbelievable. It's unprecedented, but it's a great signing, obviously, for the Dodgers. They got, if not the best, one of the top 2 or 3 in the game. But again, it comes back to that.
But nobody can afford that contract.
No.
Okay, when your top end contract, what's the biggest top end contract that they've ever had? Mookie Betts, right? $30+ million a year, like 30.6.
Yeah. And Ohtani's now $40 million better than Mookie Betts.
And you exceed this by $40 million?
Yeah, and what this is going to do.
Now, this isn't Ohtani. I mean, Ohtani did not take Dodger executives and bring them into a room and then release them one by one until he got the deal.
No, there's no doubt.
I mean, really?
But Ohtani, like, he's not $40 million better than Mookie Betts. Not a chance. Mookie Betts is one of the top 5 players in baseball. And I think what this is going to do, well, Betts will get his money at some point. Harper's going to have to get his money again. I think he's going to be a guy.
Betts has a long-term contract. That's not going to change.
No, but I think Harper does too, and I think Harper's going to get a raise. I think he's going to. I think he's
I'd be looking
going
at him
to.
saying, "You're under contract."
I would too, but I think there's going to be a point where Harper's going to say, "Hey, I want more," and I think it's getting to that point because
why you signed it.
I agree. I 100% agree. But that's with Ohtani, with what he's gotten, I start to sense we're not far away from having a $1 billion athlete, which is unbelievable, unheard of. I remember going back to when Reggie Jackson got the $1 million, Ryan Sandberg got the $30 million. So it's unprecedented to where we are right now, 30 years later.
Right.
Yeah.
Well.
But, it's a lot goes into contracts. I know the average Joe is going to look outside and look where the average Joe, too. You look outside and say, hey, overpaid. But you know what? A lot goes into that contract. Ohtani's going to sell a lot of merchandise. Ohtani's going to put butts in seats. All of that thing,
Dodgers
all of those things.
No,
they do.
40 to 45,000 a game.
They do, but maybe they'll arrive 5 minutes earlier now. But no, he's going to sell merchandise. You're going to get that money back, is my point. And that's with Ohtani. Even with Ohtani.
I don't know about that. To be honest with you, that's a lot of merchandise to sell.
It's a lot.
You are not talking about a franchise that's drawing 20 to 25,000 a game. They're drawing 40 to 45,000 a game.
Sure.
He's not going to make that big a difference.
No.
Now, maybe he'll make a big difference in streaming and TV.
Yeah, I do.
Contracts when their contracts.
The other part of it again, though, it's the Dodgers, yes, but he's still on the West Coast.
Well, he didn't have to move.
Yeah, no, he didn't have to move, and
it also means we'll never see him.
That's what I mean. We're never going to see him, and that's the point. Yeah. Baseball is struggling because you're trying to find that guy that is your face. You thought you may have had it with Harper. Harper struggled the last 2 championship series. Obviously, LCS this year, World Series last year. Down the stretch, you just hope you could find that guy on the East Coast. And you want to call it East Coast bias all you want. It's a time when everybody can see them. And that's the biggest point. Right. Ohtani being on that West Coast, he's a Dodger. Dodger baseball is phenomenal. They're going to be on national TV. Not everybody's going to be up at 12:45 at night in the 7th inning to see him hit that home run.
No, that's right. I mean, they'll make, and with ESPN transitioning out of baseball in 2025, how much coverage are they going to get?
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, and a lot of it's going to go to your social media streamings, which is you're going to get an audience. You're not going to get the audience that ESPN brings you. Right. Not close.
Yeah. So, I mean, 70 million. Look, first of all, I don't begrudge him getting his money.
No.
Not even in the least.
No. And I always say the old
money. He gets his money.
I always say the phrase, "Would you turn it down?" Well, then, and that's exactly. Nobody's going to turn that kind of money down.
Right. So,
I think the hope is for the Dodgers, and the hope is for Major League Baseball as a whole, is that he can continue to transition the game globally, where you're going to have that worldwide audience consistently, which I think you had with Ichiro, but not to the level that you have with Ohtani.
No,
I think you need that.
Yeah, Ohtani is... Ohtani, well, Ichiro is like this. Ohtani is very much like Ichiro in that regard. They are to Major League Baseball what Yao Ming was to the NBA.
Yes. Yep.
So.
Yep.
That's what I find interesting in all this.
Yeah, I agree with you. The NBA, though, has the luxury of having that international game as a whole, and also the international in the sense that you have pros in the Olympics.
Right.
Major League Baseball is not going to do that, and I think that's another big part of it too.
Yeah. So yeah, that's $70 million.
So,
look, I don't begrudge anybody making it. It doesn't matter to me. It's just I sit there and go.
And that's why I raised an eyebrow.
I thought he was going to get like 40 to 50 million.
That's what I was thinking. 500 million. I was thinking he was going to be the first guy to get 500. Trout got over 400, so I think there's no question Ohtani was going to get 500. But I did not see him getting 700. No way.
Well, who did?
No. And that's why when you saw the rumblings.
But you know what, Bob Nightingale, who I've had on the show many times here, right? Speaks very highly of you.
Love Bob. I'm glad he does. He's one I don't criticize. I like Bob.
He criticized other media.
Well, you got to get it right.
On Ohtani.
Got to get it right.
Because one media person,
one outlet,
reported that Ohtani was on a plane to Toronto.
Yeah.
Right? When Ohtani was asleep in Southern California.
Yep.
And
it goes back to just as hard as it is this day and age, get it right before you be the first.
Why is it hard in this day and age?
It's hard because everybody's trying to make a name for themselves. I think that's the biggest thing. These people are trying to, and absolutely, I agree with you. Get it right first. You will get a lot more respect and credibility, even if you're not the first to report it. You will get a lot more respect by being right.
Yeah.
And and now I'm not saying the all-time greats don't make mistakes. They make a lot of them, but not to this level.
Yeah, I mean.
And you're talking about an outlet, and look, we don't have to name the outlet. I mean, and everybody knows it by researching it and knowing who it was, but it's the reason they're on the decline they are.
Well, when stuff like that happens, the entire industry gets labeled.
Absolutely.
And it's not as if we have not seen
you saw it last year.
Irresponsible people in this profession before.
I didn't even make the argument. You saw it last year in baseball with Judge. Everybody reporting the Giants.
Yeah. And look, agents are the ones that really are, for the most part, the...
Sure. Agreed.
Who's your source? 9 times out of 10, I shouldn't say that. Maybe 7 times out of 10, it's the agent. Either planting something or just trying to get the price driven up or whatever it may be. Okay? There, a lot of times, that's the, quote, insider. But it's stuff like this where you're absolutely right. It's something I talk to my class about all the time. I said, as tempting as it may be, I'd rather have you be second and right than first and wrong.
Right.
And a lot of people, everybody's looking for inside information all the time. I will give people credit. They have over the years, they have stopped even asking me, which is good. I don't get asked because I think I've laid out the rules. I've laid out the rules as to what the rules of the game happen to be when it comes to me. Yep. I'm allowed to be there for a reason because I treat it like Las Vegas. What happens there stays there. It has to be that way. It has to be that way. The broadcast on Saturday, or if it's basketball, whatever day of the week, is exponentially better because of the access.
Absolutely.
Okay? You know what, you know why, and you know how, because you're around it every day.
Yeah.
Right. So you have a feel as to what they're trying to do, why they're trying to do it, and also a feel for what they think the other team might do, and how they're trying to counter it. And the broadcast is way better because of that deep background that you have.
Absolutely.
But the key to deep background is you can't tell anybody that you have deep background.
No.
Okay? Now when it comes to this, these guys aren't in that category. Right? They are reporters, okay?
They are.
Hey, but you have a responsibility to your audience. You just can't have it so, hey, look at all the clicks I got. Clicks happens to be one of the worst things that ever happened in this industry.
It's massive.
Right?
Agreed.
Okay? There are two things that happened in my lifetime that have set the industry back. One should have set it forward. The other one set it back.
Mm-hmm.
One was, believe it or not, Watergate. Everybody now thinks they're an investigative reporter. Mm-hmm. They all think they're Woodward and Bernstein now.
No doubt.
You're not. Right?
Yep.
Now, they worked hard to get it. They got stonewalled. They worked hard. They got stonewalled. And then and when other people told them to quit, they didn't quit. There's nothing wrong with that. But not every story is a gate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
No.
And every time you turn around, we get a story that's a gate.
Right.
Right? Inflategate. I'm like, oh, for goodness sakes. It's footballs, for goodness sakes. I mean, come on.
Inflate or deflate?
Deflategate. Like, okay, great. All right. And then the other one was clicks.
Yeah.
Right? You're judged on the number of clicks you get. Mm-hmm. Now I realize this show's judged on clicks, I guess.
Well, yeah, it is.
Right?
But
and do you think I sit here and worry about it?
No.
Ever?
No.
Nope. Don't. I do what I do. Try to be as informative as I can, give you some perspective if it's possible. Right? And if you like it, great. If you disagree with it, I have no problem with it. Right? Because everybody's entitled to an opinion. I will say that some opinions are more informed than others.
Exactly.
Which is that's just a point. That's not a criticism.
No. But now the other point that I would make, and they do tie together, is your access, in terms of play-by-play and that reporter. It ties together in the sense that why do athletes and coaches talk to you? Because they trust you. They're developing that trust in you that you're not going to be that snake in a big way that goes and reports something they don't want you reporting.
Right.
So, and that's where.
And there are a lot of people that cover Penn State football, for example, that fall into that category of, look, very, very responsible.
Yeah, I agreed. 100% agreed. And they get well respected, not only by the players, not only by the coaches, by their peers as well, because of that. And it comes down to that. You will know a lot more, and I've been doing this a lot less than you, obviously, and a lot less than some of the others, but I could tell you, just by the years I've been in this industry, you will know and learn a lot more when you develop trust with others, with those you're covering. There's no doubt about it. Am I saying you have to be liked? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you need to develop that trust and credibility. You lose that when you break those.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the second you lose trust, you have a problem.
Mm-hmm. Massive.
And that means trust with the audience.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely.
And also trust with the subject.
Yeah.
Or potential subjects.
And that can be false reporting. That can be you making a comment that is a very offensive. There's a lot of things.
Okay, so let's take like a time right now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this in real time. And we talked about Ohtani. Well, what's similar to the Ohtani situation except with exponentially less money? Transfer portal.
Sure.
Right? We're in that transfer portal part right now where people are trying to find out where people are going.
Sure.
Right? And the information can't happen for the audience fast enough. And there are rumors about this guy here, that guy here. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay. And will Cam Ward end up at Ohio State? Will DJ go to Florida State? Right? We've already seen Dylan Gabriel go to Oregon. Van Dyke, I don't know what his plans are.
No,
but like, where are the, especially the quarterbacks, like Riley Leonard, he's going to go to Notre Dame. Oh yeah, okay, all right. That's like, nobody's allowed to make their own announcement anymore.
that's
absolutely what I found fascinating
Yeah.
about the Penn State part. The Penn State players, 9 times out of 10, actually do get to make their own announcement as to what they're doing. It's really,
That's true.
they keep it in house. So,
yeah.
that's what I find interesting. Is that they do a great job here of keeping it tight, and that's phenomenal, because that's hard to do in this era. And again, it's Las Vegas. What happens there stays there. That's why. I mean, I could do one whale of a show. I also wouldn't be doing Penn State football on Saturday.
Exactly.
Here's what I know. Oh, no. Same thing with basketball. I wouldn't be at Madison Square Garden Saturday. Probably should have kept your mouth shut, Steve. Yeah, okay. But it's not called playing by the rules of the game. It's the right thing to do if you're sitting in my
Absolutely.
chair. Like, to all of you out there that would like me to spill the beans on whatever, all right, and most of you don't, because I'd say 9.5 out of 10
I
people
would say most are
understand
very
exactly
respectful.
where I'm-
Absolutely.
yes, extremely respectful. But I always tell them the same thing. Put yourself in my chair,
Mm-hmm.
and what would you do?
Sure.
And that's always the important part. If you can get somebody convinced as it, well, if you were sitting here, how would you handle it? And now back to the Ohtani situation. And their reporting is going to here, there, and everywhere. Now, most people were responsibly reporting, hey, everybody knew he met with the Dodgers and the whole thing.
Sure.
And everybody wants the insider to come on and give them insider stuff. And it's just not happening. I mean, my understanding is there's a story that a writer in Philadelphia got a great story. It was an NBA story. To be responsible, he wanted to clear it with the league. Not clear it, but tell the league to get a comment or whatever about it. I'm not going to get into who the writer was. I'm not going to get into what the story was. And the person in the league told him, quote, could you hold off on the story till we give it to Woj? He said, no. And he did the story.
Yep.
Right. But that's the kind of that brings up a lot of questions about how some of this stuff is done.
Oh, absolutely. And I'd say to a lesser extent, when you talk about the NBA, I go back to Kawhi Leonard's free agent saga. I think, first of all, you had the reports coming out. Yeah, well, the Lakers are going to get him right here.
Everybody's going to the Lakers. I know. Notice that, like, everybody goes to the Lakers and nobody goes.
Nobody goes. Yep. Jalen Rose comes out and says, "Oh, he was on I saw him get off the plane to Toronto."
Yeah.
Guess where he ended up? Neither one of those places.
Yeah. So, we'll deal with one more. This will go with insider information again. How many times have you heard that Florida State is leaving the ACC for wherever in the past year? There'll be a big announcement in June.
A lot less than we've heard Florida State's accreditation's a problem.
Yeah.
Which is the bigger fact.
Right. August 15th, we'll know.
Yeah, sure we will.
Right? August 15th, they're out. August 15th comes and goes. Seems to be staying.
Yeah. Now, will they?
We'll know by New Year's Eve. Yeah. Right? It's like, just stop it.
Yeah. It's going to ratchet up.
I've got inside information.
I'm sure you do.
Like, okay, well, good for you.
And it's going to ratchet up even more.
Hey, excuse me, over
obviously.
here in the back. I actually read the grant of rights. You got a big problem.
You got a big problem. Yeah. They may go through it one more time now that they were obviously left out of the playoffs. I think it ratchets it up a little bit again, but it's still, you're in the same boat.
It's just.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt.
Over and over again. I know somebody on the trustees. You do? Okay. Well,
That's
I know
great.
a lot of trustees.
I know
here.
a lot of trustees here, too. Yeah.
Like,
that doesn't make me any better.
That's good for you. It just. I mean, do they want out? Of course they want out.
Yeah, but they want it even more now.
I mean,
last Sunday made it well known and they want out now.
They're sitting there and they're looking at Indiana, Rutgers, and Vanderbilt making more money than Florida State off their media deals.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why last year it was a year and a half. We're talking about expansion. And I did not know at this point that USC was engaged with the Big Ten.
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't
so
either.
a year and a half ago, didn't know. And I made the comment on the show. I said, if you're USC athletic director Mike Bone, he was the athletic director at the time. Jen Cohen's the athletic director now. I said, imagine him sitting in an office, because they were talking about what the Pac-12 media deal was going to be. And everybody's saying, hey, the Big Ten's going to get X, all this money. That was the other one, too. They were going to have the contract was going to be out by May 31st last year. Yeah, sure it was. That's because behind the scenes, USC was, had called Fox. They didn't call Kevin Warren. Maybe later they did, but not the first time. And I said, you're sitting there, you're Mike Bone. We're USC. Right? You're telling us this is exactly what I said. You're going to give us $32 million at this point. I said, I think I said something, and I said Rutgers is going to get $70 million. Ended up being more than that, but $70 million. He said, you got to be kidding me. And I say that with all due respect to Rutgers, but really on a brand name basis. That's why we're going to have Gary Stokin on the show tomorrow, the president and CEO of the Peach Bowl. He'll tell you straight out, and it'll be something we'll talk about on the show tomorrow, that, hey, he thinks Penn State's one of the top 5 brands out there. Well, Rutgers, with all due respect, is not. USC is one of the top 5 to 7 brands in all of college sports, right? But they're going to get $40 million less. So now let's go back to Florida State. You're the Florida State athletic director. You're sitting there saying to yourself, you got to be kidding me, right? We're making less money by way more than, like by a wide margin. I mean, we're not even half than Indiana, Vanderbilt, and Rutgers. And my favorite is, the grant of rights doesn't count. Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So let's ask yourself some common sense questions here, because you always have to come at this from a status of common sense. Can you buy your way out with a buyout? Sure, you can. There's no getting around it. I'm talking about
I'm
talking about the exit fee.
Yeah,
Exit fee. Grant of rights is a different deal, and it's exponentially more expensive. So ask yourself, why didn't USC and UCLA play in the Big Ten this year?
Yeah.
Why? Because their grant of rights and the TV contract with the Pac-12 runs out August 1st, 2024, and they will officially join August 2nd. Later on, obviously, Washington and Oregon fell into the same category, right? Ask yourself why Texas and Oklahoma, who were invited to play in 2021, who accepted to go to the SEC in 2021, why they played in the Big 12 in 21 and 22 and 23. Not because of the exit fee, but because of the grant of rights part of it. And they ended up paying each $50 million to get out of the last year.
Yep.
Not the last 12 years. They paid $50 million each to get out of the last year.
Yep.
Not 12, the last year. The grant of rights is an extremely simple document. It's only a few pages long. It's not this 300-page document. It's like 5 to 8 pages. That's it. And if they haven't figured out in 5 to 8 pages where the loophole is, after months and months and months and months and months, and in case years, you're never going to find it. It's not there. There's no there.
Nope.
And everybody, you can break any contract. You signed away your media rights. Every home game you play, the money will go to the ACC unless you figure out some sort of gigantic financial arrangement to get out of it. And they're not happy. I get it. They're not happy. Right? So, it's simple as,
Yeah, and then the other part of it is obviously, well, first of all, it's the accreditation for Florida State and Clemson. That's a problem. It's a problem.
Sure,
Both conferences aren't going to, absolutely. Conferences aren't going to want them for that reason. The other part of it is the conference is going to be the second part of that because they're going to be looking at, prime example, SEC's looking at Texas and Oklahoma. We're going to make $50 million on them? Yeah, there's no question.
Oh, the SEC.
No question.
No,
not a doubt.
Get that money back.
Not a doubt.
It'll be fine.
But let's look at Stanford. We going to make that money back?
No.
Not so sure about that. Suddenly.
Stanford, Cal, and SMU. Yeah. Expansion is supposed to make you stronger.
Didn't make them stronger. It's
supposed to make the pie, right? Because you have to split it up more. That's supposed to make the pie exponentially bigger so everybody gets bigger slices of pie.
Exactly.
Financially. Texas and Oklahoma do that for the SEC.
No question.
USC, UCLA, Washington, Oregon do that for the Big Ten. Okay. SMU, Stanford, and Cal, both on-field product and financially. Well, SMU's not taking any money, but financially and on-field product made the ACC weaker.
Agreed.
They just did it to do it.
100% agree.
All right, tomorrow, Gary Stokan, Neil Coulong tomorrow. Are you here all week?
I believe so.
Really?
I think so.
You beat Seattle, you wore a shirt.
Well, yeah, it's only fair. You're the 1 seed now. You gotta keep them for good luck, and somehow.
The 1 seed.
Let's hope it stays that way. The 1 seed's gonna have a tougher path than the 2 seed, though. I feel like, because the 1 seed's not gonna play that NFC South that gets thumped by the 5 seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll play with the. Well, no.
They'll play the 5 or 6 seed probably. They'll play the 5 seed probably.
Well,
I can't see
because they reseed after each round, right?
No, it would be.
They don't reseed after every round.
No, they reseed in the sense they play the lowest seed.
Right, that's my point.
Yeah,
that's
they would play.
Point.
So they would play. They could play the Cowboys or Eagles.
So the 7th seed wins. They could play the 7th seed.
In theory, yeah, good. Yep. That would be the best part of it all because then you avoid the 5 seed, who I think could be.
Because knowing your organization, they'll actually pay off somebody to make it happen. All right,
that's all right.
Hey,
they're the reason there's a salary cap in the NFL. Cowboys and the 49ers.
All right. Gary Stokan, CEO, President of Peach Bowl, and Neil Coulong tomorrow here on Seven Mountains Media.